Hello and welcome to my first video. My name is WaveCube and I'm going to be talking to you about how Punch Time Explosion is the best Super Smash Bros. Clone game. So to start with, a little history. So Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion was developed by Papaya Entertainment and it was published by Crave Games. And they're mostly known for making licensed games. They're no longer around, but they've made games such as the Powerpuff Girls video games and a lot of other types of licensed content. So they have a great track record when it comes to making licensed games, especially Cartoon Network ones. Papaya Studios has also made Ben 10 games as well. So, with that, Punch Time Explosion came out in 2011 for the Nintendo 3DS and the home consoles at the time, the Nintendo Wii, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360. So, getting into the game itself, why I think it's the best Smash clone, it is its own thing while also taking inspiration from the Super Smash Bros. Series. So the gameplay is all about knocking your opponent off the screen just like you would in Smash Brothers. But some unique things that Punch Time Explosion has that Smash Brothers does not is the Punch Time Explosions, which are similar to Final Smashes, but you see those cubes that are shown throughout the gameplay footage, you collect those to allow yourself to be able to perform your Punch Time Explosion, which is a video that is shown right now with Samurai Jack, where it's an attack after you collect enough cubes to fill up your meter to cause damage to the opponents. So that's what's really neat about Punch Time Explosion with that. You can activate your special at any time. Alongside that, it has a full story mode campaign. The story mode campaign allows for 4-player cooperative play, unlike Smash Bros., which is just 2 in Subspace Emissary. So you get a full campaign that is narrated by George Lowe, who is the narrator of the game, and he voiced Space Ghost in Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which was one of the first Cartoon Network series. So the story plays out generally. Space Ghost narrates the entire game, and he's looking for his TV remote. So if you remember the Channel Chasers special episode of Fairly Odd Parents, that's basically the game. You travel through all these Cartoon Network themed worlds, having all the characters come together to be able to find and defeat the evil remote that has caused the crossover and chaos throughout the series. So you can play via the 4-player co-op, like I mentioned, and you can collect characters as you go and try them out and unlock all of the capabilities with that. So you can play different mini-games and side-scrolling stages similar to Subspace Emissary. Really fleshed out, has the full voice actors for the voice cast, some returning, some impersonators that do a fairly decent job. So I would highly recommend the story mode campaign, and it's really unique, I would say, compared to maybe other types of clone games or influence games like Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl and Multiverses. I think this is the best example because it actually takes the identity of Smash and tries to have its own unique twist on it. Another cool thing that Punch Time Explosion has that Smash does not is synergy attacks. So in Smash Brothers, you collect assist trophies and they help you. In Punch Time Explosion, they do that, but sometimes they go even beyond. So certain characters will have different types of assist characters they summon that will be compatible with them. And then you'll do a special attack similar to your Punch Time Explosion that will affect the area. So that's really cool, and it adds a nice layer of randomness to the game that really spices it up. Alongside you getting items and things like that. All of the stages are based on these different Cartoon Network themed areas from Flapjack to Powerpuff Girls to Dexter's Laboratory, all the way up to Ben 10. There's not a lot of new series, unfortunately, for the ones represented. Ben 10 is the only represented series, but it's a pretty good roster of characters from all across those different shows. So alongside that, there is also multiplayer mode, which is the meat of the game. And not only can you just play versus matches, there's other types of modes similar to Smash. So one where you collect the most amount of punch time explosion cubes, alongside with drones. Whoever defeats the most enemies within that wins, or just the standard fighting mode. You can play time or stock, and different types of stages, again, based on the different characters with certain gimmicks and things of that nature. So it's pretty cool. And also the faithfulness of this game to Cartoon Network, which I'm definitely going to have some inherent bias to, because it's my favorite network growing up as a kid. I love animation and Smash Brothers and just video games in general. So this really appealed to me when this was coming out. I played the 3DS version and the console version, and the console one definitely is the best experience, I would say. So with that being said, the fan service is just fantastic too. Each character has their own unique costume that's based off of their series from the different episodes. So, for example, Flapjack has one of his Sardine outfits. Ben 10, the young version, has one of his Galactic Enforcer outfits, which is pretty cool. So lots of great surprises there. Alongside that as well, too, there's a store in the game where you can purchase additional levels and characters and costumes and even TV show clips from the series represented, which I think is such a nice touch. So you get some great favorite moments of the developers through in there, which is really cool. So yeah, that's the story mode and the main multiplayer gameplay. There's also cheats you can have, so you can, if you want to skip all of the additional content, you're more than welcome to do that as well too. So I just really have loved this game and played it countless hours, and I really think it's underappreciated. A lot of people kind of dismiss it as just a cheap Smash clone that was kind of just rushed out the door with no love, but I heavily disagree with that. For the amount of time the developers had from the 3DS version that came out in 2011, and just about, I believe, 6 to 7 months after we got the console versions, they did a pretty stellar job at trying to represent their own version of Smash with lots of cool ideas. Unfortunately, Papaya Studios and Crave Games are not really around anymore, but and actually this was their last game that they made. And it's really sad. It would be neat to see how the future of this game could come to fruition, which the closest thing we'll have is Multiverses, which doesn't fill the hole as much in my heart for this type of game, but you never know what the future could hold with that. So, again, that's the story mode, that's the battle gameplay for the multiplayer with the additional modes I mentioned. There's even a training mode, too, as well, which is a nice touch, too, that they didn't have to include, but they did. And you can view the cutscenes in the game as well, and it has just so many great elements. All the assist trophies are characters, of course, from the different series, with their respective voices, or close enough to them. The music is done phenomenally by the same composer who worked on the Rayman Legends games, and each of the different shows get their spotlight in terms of music. And the composer did a fantastic job at trying to make sure each song fit the respective series, which you'll be hearing snippets of those songs throughout this video, and other familiar Cartoon Network songs or shows that have been featured on the channel as well. Some of my favorite characters to play in the game are Captain Knuckles, and each of their movesets are taken from their series, of course, as well, and other fun little references if you're a fan of the series. And even if you're not a Cartoon Network fan, or a Smash Brothers newcomer, I think you will be pleasantly surprised with how fun and pretty polished this game is for, again, the short time that it had development. So those are kind of my overall thoughts on Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion. It has a fantastic single-player campaign that had a lot more effort, again, put into it than you would expect. The multiplayer is pretty robust, has the fan service in terms of the clips, even bios similar to Smash Brothers, to where you can read all the different characters' origins and little fun facts. Again, things they didn't have to include, but are much appreciated by me for being such a huge animation and cartoon lover. Out of the three big series, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, and Disney Channel, I would definitely say Cartoon Network is my personal favorite. Has a fantastic series of shows, which if you've not seen, I'd highly recommend checking out as well too. Throughout this video, you can see that there's actual dev diaries by the developers, and I love behind the scenes that are shown in different contexts for game development. I think that's such a long lost art that you don't see as much anymore, especially with the internet and things. For these kind of little behind the scenes glimpses on the game, it gives you a much better appreciation and look into the process, instead of maybe just completely writing the game off that it was made just as a cash grab. And actually, I would argue this is one of the best licensed games I've played of all time, too. Because not every type of licensed game is there just to cash in. Of course, some are, but a lot of games I grew up with, such as the Cartoon Network games, Nickelodeon games, things like that, definitely have a special place in terms of that. I know I've been rambling in terms of all of these experiences and games and such, but if you've not checked out Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion, I think you are in for a major treat. And I just want to say thank you for taking the time to giving this video a shot and listening to my random thoughts and experiences with this game. If you have any comments that you want to leave, feel free to leave them in the comments. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thank you for watching.